action.
Welcome to the Rumikay Talks podcast. And today we have a guest, Laura Crespo. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So let's just dive in. Let's talk about young Laura. The Laura who was born in Cuba and what happened next.
Well, Laura, who was born in Cuba, was very young and had no conception of anything. She was 6 months old. And then at 6 months, I emigrated to the United States, and I was raised in Miami. And growing up in Miami, I ate a lot of good food, and I had a great time being Cuban in Miami.
What was it like living in Miami?
Yeah, well, it was pretty much like any other childhood. I was fortunate enough to have both of my parents here in the States with me. I know a lot of other Cubans don't have that opportunity. And at the time, most of my family was still back in Cuba, but I was grateful to have my parents and my grandparents out here with me. So I kind of grew up like any other kid. I went to school, and any chance I got, I would perform. I would constantly find myself doing theater, constantly joining just dance, and those were pretty much the only places that I could do those kinds of things, because financial situation. I had just moved to the United States. My parents would not be able to afford dance classes and acting classes, though I was begging as a child. But I pretty much spent most of my childhood just doing a lot of after school activities,
Mm-hmm.
being creative. I actually wanted to be a lawyer first. So as a kid, that's even as a young little 10-year-old or something like that, I was like, I'm gonna be a paralegal. Because as a Cuban, you want to secure your success, and that's by being, or so we think, by being a doctor or a lawyer or a surgeon or something like that. So pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you remember a particular moment in your life, in your childhood, or a particular action that you did that was the first action towards your dancing, acting, or modeling career?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually know the very exact moment that I decided that this was like for me. At the time, at my school, there was this, my middle school was adjoined to the high school, and the high school had a very fabulous dance team that was well known for national and worldwide dance competitions. It was kind of insane. They were some of the best high school dancers in the South Florida area, and they often performed at the middle school I was at, and watching them perform on stage, I'd always kill to be in the front seat, the front row. And I remember just seeing them on stage with such passion, intensity, drive. I knew those girls would train for 12 hours a day, and I wanted to be like them. I was determined to be like them. And so I went through the auditioning process. I got rejected 4 times. So 4 years in a row, I they were like, I'm gonna pass on you. Because the thing about me is that I had the drive and I had the motivation, but I had two left feet, literally. I wasn't a very good dancer. And it didn't matter to me. I was still gonna keep going after it day after day. But with hard work and dedication, you get there. So 4 or 5 years later, I was accepted my very last year of high school.
Wow, that's so every year, like for 4 years, you have to re-audition, right?
Every year for 4 years, you have to re-audition.
That's some determination, I'd say.
Yeah.
Does it come from, from your genes, or is there something that you learn or read, or like a book, or someone was motivating you to go through 4 years? That's tough.
Yeah, I think the program as it was very intensive. It was a week-long audition. Some people would pass out, some people would throw up, because it was a very high intensity of training. And to answer your question, I think when you kind of come from another country, when you immigrate, especially from countries such as in the state of Cuba, you kind of have that mentality of like, I have to be successful no matter what. And especially when it's something that your
Hmm.
parents ingrain in you from a very young age, it can be a lot of pressure. I know I felt a lot of pressure going up to get a full scholarship because otherwise I wouldn't been able to go to college, to be someone in the world, especially knowing all the sacrifices that my parents made. I think it just came from witnessing my parents struggle a lot, financially, and struggling to get opportunities in this country and just wanting to be someone. So, yeah.
That's a good goal. What was the most challenging part of moving to another country, and what was the most challenging part when like leaving here or going to school or interacting with your peers? Is there something that you could share?
Yeah, I definitely believe that some of the most difficult parts of moving from another country, would be, difficulty finding opportunity. I saw my parents struggle a lot to get job interviews. My mother also, my parents had me at a very young age. I believe my mother was 22. And, when you're 22, you're not really prepared for these kinds of things, like you think you are. And, so yeah, and then 22 with a child coming to a new country, not speaking English, and just needing to do something to survive, to feed your children. So, and I'm an only child as well. So yeah, I believe that that is probably the most difficult part, navigating your way around a new way of living, a new society, a new culture. And yeah, pretty much.
Tell us a little bit about your journey of moving to LA. How how was it, and what was the reason? Why did you decide to move to LA?
Yeah, so at the time I was in college and I was studying philosophy, trying to pursue a career in law. And I had someone who was very close to me who began to encourage me. And he told me things like, if this is not something that you want to pursue for the rest of your life, why would you do that? You really have to go for the things that you want. And he himself was an artist as well, so he would always say, like, I would be broke, but as long as I'm doing what I love to do. And I was really inspired and moved by that. So um, another thing is after I had graduated high school, I was scouted by a modeling agency. And so I was in college and trying to model at the same time. So I just ended up, leaving the campus, pursuing my degree virtually, and modeling in Miami. Um, After about another 2 years, I, was offered, a contract with an agency out in Los Angeles, a commercial agent, and I took it as an opportunity. Maybe it was a sign to move. So June 2020, the most perfect time, I came to Los Angeles, and I have absolutely no regrets. So, your question was, how difficult was it? Well, it was really, really stinking difficult. Because first of all, I had never been to the West Coast before. Um, Second, everything was shuttered. It was a weird time. Luckily, I had my finances in order, so I was able to get myself settled down. But you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way. So, yeah.
So how was it during the pandemic? What were you doing? you know,
What was I doing?
is there anything that you could share?
I still think about it and I'm like, how did I survive all of those months? Because I was new here. And being an actress is already difficult as it is. It's a hard path to follow. How do you find work? How do people believe in your work when you have no work to show? But I I came and, I conquered. I'm just kidding. I haven't conquered. No, but I seriously, I came here and I had the mentality of like, okay, I have to make this work because I'm already upsetting my family. So I started, like any other actor does, on the platform casting networks. I had some photos from modeling out in South Florida, and I posted those on the platform, and I just
Mhm.
sat there and submitted every single morning, every single morning. As soon as it would come in, I would submit. And luckily, there were a few productions that were starting to open back up. And slowly but surely, I started to work on those productions. And over time, I built some clientele. And my anyone who's ever worked with me knows that I have an incredibly positive attitude. Um, I'm a total team player. I just believe that, we're all going to work together. We all need to obviously get along and be respectful and have a good time. So I show that, and I believe that it's receptive to a lot of people. So luckily, people have continued to bring me back, and I'm so grateful for that people want to continue working with me. So yeah.
Is there any stories from your acting career that you would like to share? Anything that pops up, not particularly the movie itself, but what happened behind the stage? You met a famous actor, or just an interesting interaction, or just in general, or maybe your first experience.
Well, a lot of it is where when you don't know where to go, you have to start small. Obviously, a lot of actors begin with background work, and that's not a bad way to get in there and really get acquainted with the pace of a production. Also, a lot of actors sometimes they'll go onto the set and they'll sit down or they'll sit in the corner and not talk to anyone, read a book. But this kind of field is very interactive. You have to communicate with a lot of people. You have to get to know a lot of people. And that's just how it is, really. When people say it's about who you know, it truly is. First, you begin by getting yourself in a set environment, becoming familiar, making some friends with the crew. The crew are pretty cool people. Those people behind the camera are pretty fun to be around. So get to know them and obviously get yourself in some classes. And just audition like crazy. A big part of being an actor is knowing the business side of things too. So making sure that all your materials are updated, your headshots, your photos. And here's the biggest tip that I think, if anyone should take away anything from this, it would be to not just do acting. Please do something else with your life. Because when all your eggs are in one basket, you get this air of desperation around you, around you, and yeah, because you're placing your all, and that's not a bad thing to give it your all into something, but I truly believe that part of being an actor is being well-rounded in life. So go out there and get yourself some life experiences. So yeah.
What was the best investment that you did in yourself as an actor? Is it a class or a book or even a movie that really inspired you to or help you to go through tough times?
Okay, can I go grab it? It's a book.
Sure.
Okay, so it's a small investment, but it turned out to be incredible. This is The Intent to Live by Larry Moss, and it's like falling apart because I have read it about 3 times now, and Larry Moss is an acting coach, well known for working with some of the biggest names in the industry right now. And The Intent to Live is really a book about not just acting, but living. And the advice that this book brings and everything has been relevant to my career. It goes into the details of creating a character, which is something that I've always been fascinated by and something that I'm still learning how to do, all the way into details of how to handle yourself and carry yourself in auditions and on the set. So and Larry is just a philosopher, so he's mesmerizing to read about, to watch and stuff like that. So
I haven't started it yet, but I have it on my bookshelf, this book, actually.
oh, nice. It's a great one. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, I'll let you know. My wife bought it for herself to read, and now I have it on my reading list as well. My long reading list for this year.
Oh, you've read a lot of books last year.
Oh yeah. Yeah, actually, those the ones that I read that I said that I'll read 12 books by 12 friends. Those were just the tip of the iceberg.
Really?
Because I read some other books as
God.
well. Because I always read something that interests me. If it comes to acting, one of my favorite books is Stanislavski book, because I come from Russia, and it's My Life in Art.
Oh, lovely.
Which basically everything you need to know about acting. The foundation.
I don't have
Yeah.
that book.
Yeah, it's like a must read in every acting school in Russia, among his other books. But this is kind of like the first one that you read. You don't even go to like acting school until you read this book.
Oh my goodness. Well, I must read it now.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out. The book that inspired me back in the days when I was in Russia, in St. Petersburg. I actually had also experience going through auditions several times until I actually got it over there. So
Oh my gosh.
it was an interesting journey. And I understand that. That's why I totally connect with you when you say 4 years, every year you have to go again. And this is crazy. Yeah. So let's talk about failures, if you're comfortable. Is there something?
Yeah, for sure.
Is there something that the world considers kind of like a failure that happened to you, but then turned into some form of success, or later on?
Well, I would say that that anecdote I shared earlier is pretty much a
Mm-hmm.
failure. Year after year, being told by family and friends that I should probably just, throw in the towel, them telling me I'm working myself too hard, but continuing to go for it, to strive for it. When I finally made it on the team, we did hold 6 national titles that year. And we achieved third best in the world in our category at the Dance Worlds, which is a pretty big honor. So I think that just goes to show you have to commit yourself. You never know where you might go. And honestly, I believe that no matter how, I think my failures today, by the way, relate to just submitting some very embarrassing self tapes and not hearing anything back. But so,
Yeah.
you just have to smile and laugh a lot throughout the process. You'll be all right. Just as long as you are able to, and this is a real thing, just as long as you're able to financially sustain yourself, whether it be through another job that you really enjoy, something that fulfills you, just as long as you have food, water, shelter, clothing, you know, I think you're doing pretty well, Give yourself grace for that. Just continue to work hard and stay humble, stay motivated, and then you can't be a failure no matter what happens. So,
Amen. Pretty good way to look at it. Yeah, I can see a lot of people who don't have that, and this is almost like a superpower in a sense.
yeah, there are so many actors and actresses that I've come across out here in Los Angeles who are dying to work, but they don't have the employment card to be able to work out here. And they have so much drive and so much motivation. They continue to go for it day after day in hopes that one day they'll be able to work on those larger productions or be able to have, their visas come in and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
take stock of your situation and put yourself into perspective. If we, living in America, we're pretty grateful, we can't complain too much, and we still find ways to, like always, but just take note of where you are. So
So let's take a look at your sort of entertainment career as a whole and break it down into those 3 parts that I see so far: dancing, acting, and modeling. What how would the ratio would look like? How much time you spend on dancing on average? How much time, let's say the past year, for example? How much on acting? How much on modeling?
yeah, this past year I've really mostly been acting. um, I wish I had been dancing more, but I am slowly getting back into the groove of things. I've kind of just been placing my focus in other places. But I mostly spend a lot of time acting. I am a commercial model and actress, and I do work on TV and film. I was working on TV and film before the strike, but now we're just working on getting back into that as well. And then modeling is definitely the next biggest piece. Um, because I dance, modeling to me is just like movement in photos and creating stories. And I'm very passionate about just photography in general. Um,
Hmm.
and then the last piece would be dance. I don't dance as at the level that I used to. I did sustain a few injuries from dancing competitively. So I'm not saying I don't do it anymore, but I go back to it here and there when my heart really calls me to it.
I noticed on your bio it mentions ballet. Do you have the experience dancing ballet?
Yes, I do. I trained in point work and I trained like in ballet, just as anyone else did. Although we were a competitive hip hop team, our coaches
Hmm.
really made the emphasis on training in all styles, being well-rounded, and yes, so I did do a little ballet.
Is there something that you could share or can share? Experience working on big sets. It doesn't matter what role it was. For example, I saw some of your notable credits were Westworld and Candy Cane Lane, the recent movie with Eddie Murphy. Is there
Yeah.
something interesting that you can share from working on those sets?
Yeah, I think on Westworld I was playing a small role, just a small little featured role, and the same for the Candy Cane Lane. Although they were small roles, it's always a wonderful time to be in that energy, be in that environment. And, I'm a very big advocate, no matter what the role is on set, no matter what you're doing, to always have a positive attitude, to always go in there with a high level of professionalism, because you may not be the lead that day, but that doesn't mean that that you want to miss out on these wonderful connections that you can make. And when I say connections, I don't mean it in the like as networking. I don't like that word.
Hmm.
But truly,
Hmm.
truthfully, connecting with one another. There are some incredible actors and actresses who do other things like they DJ, they paint, they do photography. And this is like a hub for you to connect with other creatives and even people on the crew and create work that really serves people after the fact, after you're off of set. So many times I'm a person who's a little angsty, so I never sit down when I'm on the set. I'm always walking around, always finding a way to like get myself in situations I shouldn't be in, and and I start talking to people and stuff like that. And then so many times I've been able to reconnect with those people off of set and create wonderful work with them again. So that's really what it's all
Hmm.
about. And no specific stories, but just a general little concept.
Hmm. What are your inspirations? Do you have a few actors or filmmakers who are, when you watch a movie or like when they have a new movie coming out, you're like, oh my God, I cannot wait.
Joaquin Phoenix. I, I to this day I have not seen a film with Joaquin Phoenix that I have not absolutely just loved. And I think a big reason for that is that he is so committed to his characters, and even more so than committed. There's just like well, he has committed, but he's got this sense of just I can't catch him acting. It's really just him embodying something to the fullest extent, and he also chooses the best scripts. I don't know, but every character he's played has told a very powerful story, and has moved me in deep ways. Specifically, her. I really liked her, and I really liked
Yeah.
Joker. Beau is Afraid is really good as well, um, and he's someone who is also very well spoken. And if you've ever heard him interview, he's very composed, and he's a man of wisdom. I really admire him. So, yeah.
Yeah. Her is definitely one of the best sci-fi films I've ever seen. It's amazing, and he's great in it.
Yes, I love sci-fi as well, sci-fi horror.
Oh, you do. We're gonna chat about it in a second. Before we move on, feature films versus TV shows. Which one do you think is better as a job? Let's say as an actress, and what do you think is the future of both?
As an actor, well, there's no way to say which one would be better for your career or not. I think you just kind of learn as you go. But the differences between the two when you work on a TV series and it's longer than a few seasons, you do get to bond and meet, you have this beautiful experience with the same cast and crew for a very long time. Um, and it's very rare for an actor to have stability like that. So I think that's the biggest wonderful pro of working on a series. You get to have stability for a longer period of time. You get to do what you love, and you get to do it with people that you hopefully love as well. When you do work on a feature film, um, when you do work on a feature film, it is shorter in length. You do shoot for a few months at a time, but you don't have the same stability, but you still get to tell powerful and wonderful stories as well. And so, yeah, I mean, that would be my take. It sounds like I'm kind of leaning towards a series, huh?
Mm. Unless you're stuck with someone you don't want to work for seasons.
And hey, if you are, you make the best of it. You like always.
For sure. So sci-fi. I'm curious, where does that interest come from? What are your favorite sci-fi films except for Her? Because we already know. And have you read any sci-fi books?
Okay, so I started getting into the Dune series, the book series, and I don't know where the love for sci-fi and horror comes. I think Halloween is my favorite holiday. My father would always take me to haunted houses, and we made it a big thing each holiday season, each fall season, to go to like every haunted house and do all these crazy, fun, scary stuff, watch scary movies. I'm very like adventurous, and I don't know, I just like films. Like with the genre sci-fi, action, fantasy. I like films that transport me into another realm, into another world. Sci-fi explores a lot of themes and concepts that um, are higher than us, things that we can't possibly conceptualize, but somehow these creatives are the bridge to um, what's potentially out there. So I think it's just very exciting. It's a very exciting genre. That's how I feel about it. Um, Arrival by Denis Villeneuve or Villeneuve. Excuse me. Is it, sorry. Did I say it correctly?
I would know, but I mean, I know the name, but I'm
Oh,
not the native speaker. Well, he's like Canadian, has like a little bit of like French in it, so it's like Denis Villeneuve. I guess that's how I would say, but I'm sure I'm butchering
Villeneuve.
it a little bit. But yeah, Arrival is incredible. I watched
I
it.
apologize if I butchered it.
Sorry, Danny.
Yeah. Oh, yes, sorry. But Arrival is a film I really love. I really like campy sci-fi horrors like Stranger Things,
Uh-huh.
and I love Ghostbusters,
Who you
and
gonna
I love the
call?
campy stuff. Oh gosh, Ghostbusters.
Have you get a chance to read any of Stephen King's books?
Oh no, I haven't, but it as well I like. And that's probably something I got to add to my reading list.
Well, the funny thing about Stephen King is that he writes them faster than you read them. On
Really?
average,
Oh
like
goodness.
2-3 books a year or something like that.
Whoa, that's incredible. He's got a lot of discipline.
Yeah, he does. He does. And like for example, I bought a book. It's called Later that he wrote like 1 or 2 years ago, and I bought it with with a purpose to read it in the moment. Like, oh, Stephen King book just came out, and I want to just read it right now. And I was postponing because I was focusing on other books, and like 1 or 2 year passed. This book already not new.
Oh,
It's like 2 or 3 more books came out, or even like more than that. It's crazy. Yeah, now there is this new book, Holy, that he has, and there's a new coming out in March again that everyone's waiting. There's like collection of short stories. But anyway,
oh, so wait, quick question. So out of all of Stephen King's books, do you have a favorite you would recommend to me?
I recommend to you. Well, Carrie is kind of like the classic, that good way to start Stephen King. Me
Yeah.
personally, I'm obsessed with the Dark Tower series. that he created over like 20 years. But it's like 7-volume set, and it's like a journey of this gunslingers, and yeah, it's just like, it's too much to explain in a short sentence, but it's incredible, kind of like sci-fi fantasy western type of story.
Oh, amazing. That sounds exciting. Thank you. I'm gonna add that to my list.
Yeah, check it out. I read it twice. I read it the whole series. I read it twice because first time I read in Russian translation, and then the second time I reread it in English later.
Oh, cool.
This is the question that I ask all of my guests, and it will challenge your creativity a little bit, if you don't mind.
Sure thing.
All right. If you were an extraterrestrial from a perfect world where everything is excellent and there is no problems, and then you come to our world with all of its problems, what would be one thing that you would fix?
This is, I don't know where this is going, but I feel like humans, because we are wired to live in social circles and operate in social circles, we have this need for kind of like a dependency on, or reliance on, how we fit into social situations and how people view us, how we portray ourselves. So maybe hot wiring something in that system of like co-living with other people, maybe hot wiring it to a way where we don't become so codependent on social interactions with one another and how they perceive us, and making the human a little bit more autonomous in that sense. But you could argue maybe that would that affect our way of relating to other people? Would that affect our empathy? Would that affect certain things like that? But that's something that I think I would play around with.
This is very interesting. I feel like there is a book in there. Maybe you can write it. That's an interesting subject to explore. Yeah,
I'll think about
why
it.
not? Why not? Writing is just in general a great way to kind of like understand what you think yourself on a deeper level, because you really sit and focus on this work on a deeper level, which is a rarity in modern society when you on the phones, on the screens, scrolling till the end of the world.
Yeah, I would like to get into that.
Have you had any experience writing stories, screenplays, or anything?
Just putting together shorts for now, and coming up with, the concepts for shorts. There's this short I put out called Going Down, and it's a very short horror kind of like action short, and drama thriller. But yeah, I like to play around with what we can do, and and how terrifying we can make something psychologically. So yeah, it was actually one of the first, if not the actual first thing I ever did as an actor. It was just a friend and I putting together this short that we wanted to do for fun. We actually got kicked out of the location because I screamed too loud. Because my goal in this career is to become a scream queen.
Oh, really?
But I'm just joking. But sincerely, I would like to be part of the horror genre and the sci-fi genre. So yeah, we got kicked out of the location, and we were able to. The very last shot was actually supposed to be a test shot. But we did the best we could to color correct it and stuff.
The crazy part is that the Scream Queen. That's interesting to me. I was just watched the movie. It's called Obsession. It's like a classic film, Polish film. Basically, there's about this story about these two people who being obsessed with the devil or something like this. It's could be confusing, but when there is one scene, then I think that scene became like really cult. I mean, the whole movie became a cult movie. And there's this scene when this actress, she's like crazy, like obsessed with the demon in a underground walkway, and she just like absolutely mad, and then she like screams like crazy and like ah. I remember that little moment when you said "scream queen." I just imagined that woman like screaming. I imagine like you screaming like that, but it's insane. You should check it out, at least the scene for sure.
I think it's an art form, the art of screaming, and I really, I really enjoy watching those 70s horror slashers. So,
Is there anything else that you'd like to add? Anything that I miss? Anything that you'd like to mention or promote?
no, not at this time. But I would say any actors or actresses that are watching this, get yourself a side job. No, seriously. But don't that thing I said earlier. Don't.
I'm going to put it in the description of this episode. Laura Crespo, get yourself a side job.
Get yourself a side job. No, seriously. I joke around a lot, but don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Really get yourself some experience in life and do other things, pursue other hobbies, because ultimately all of that is going to come back and you can use it, for your work as an actor or actress.
Definitely. So the last question of this interview that I end the episode with is the obsession of the week. It could be anything, new book, movie, or for example, for me right now, it's daily journaling this week. I mean, I've been journaling all my life, but I came back to daily journaling and make it an effort to write something every day. Is there something like that you could share?
My obsession of the week. I recently saw Sophie's Choice with Meryl Streep. Have you seen that one?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, Meryl Streep is an actress who I am getting into and slowly watching all of her works now. And oh my goodness, there's that particular scene where she is in line to be sorted at the concentration camp, and the guard comes over and gives her the choice of keeping one of her children. And the reason I am watching most of her work is because Larry Moss mentions it in the book. He's constantly referring to her performance in that film. And it made me feel things I had never felt before. I think that's the best way to say it, like a deep, a very deep level of pain. So she's also someone I really admire and look up to. So that is something that I recently saw and has continued to motivate me to continue studying the craft, bettering myself, and putting together work that can really move people in that capacity to that level.
Meryl Streep, she's my inspiration. I've seen pretty much everything. Her and Nicole Kidman, the two that my favorite. Can't wait to watch new shows or movies with them. Yeah, like Nicole Kidman just had a new show, Expats, on Prime Video.
Oh, I've heard of it.
It's incredible. Yeah, well, thank you, Jenly, for this interview, and that was a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.